Hello, this is Pam Brogdon again, and we are continuing our series of our instructional videos so that I can explain concepts to you that we are going over in class rather than you just having to read them. So as we go through these, if you have any questions about anything that I explain or say that you don't understand or are not sure about, make a note of that so that you can email me or contact me and I can clarify that for you. If you don't understand something, please let me know so I can explain it further to you. Now last week we went over comprehension strategies, and I showed you a couple of strategies and modeled them for you to improve your comprehension. One of those strategies was comprehension monitoring, and that is when you read your sentence and you code it, whether you understand it, whether you have a question about it, whether you think that information is very interesting. So I hope you did that, and I hope you gained from that. If you have any questions, let me know. But one thing I want to underscore, and that is for you to continue using your comprehension monitoring in this class and in all of your other classes. Research has shown that if you monitor for comprehension, your comprehension will increase, and therefore your grades will increase. It will help you, and especially as you go through the courses in your career path, you want to understand everything, and you need to be able to understand it. So please continue with your comprehension monitoring always. Eventually, you will do it automatically. It will not be so labor intensive. But right now, give it the time, go through the steps, and you will gain in your comprehension more than you will even realize. So please do that for me. Today we're starting in our textbook. We're starting in Chapter 2, Vocabulary, and that's remembering new words. What we do know about definitions and vocabulary is that memorization does not work. So the old trick of writing the word and then writing the definition beside it, memorizing it, and then taking the test, that does not work long term. Yes, you may be able to memorize it long enough to do okay on the quiz, but if I ask you the definition next week, next month, you would not be able to remember it. So that does not work. You need to learn to make associations with the words, and that way you can remember it long term, and that's very important. So today we're going to talk a lot about context clues. And context clues are nothing more than figuring out the meaning of new words. And it's using the words in the sentence to help you figure out the meaning of a new word. And we're going to go through a lot of those and do some examples. There's several types of context clues. But let me make a side note. If you have not already downloaded and printed out your study notes for Chapter 2, which are in your assignments under content, please pause this and go do that now, because I want you to have those in front of you so that as I go through, you can take notes. That's very important. So pause this if you do not have your notes in front of you, go do that and then come back and start again. But I'm going to go ahead and continue. So there are lots of different kinds of context clues. Context clues can be used as definitions. You can have the unknown word, and in the same sentence, the author will give you the definition within the context of the sentence. And we're going to see examples of all of these. It can be a synonym. It can have the word, and then usually set off in commas, it will have a synonym, which is a word with the same or similar meaning. So you can look for that. It could be elaborate detail. The author may give you descriptive details that illustrate the meaning of the unknown word. It can be used as an example, like aquatic, like swimming, canoeing, skiing, aquatic. Those are examples of aquatic. Comparison. He could compare two things in the sentence, the author could, and it'll show you, and that will give you the meaning when he compares two different things. Or he can contrast two or more different things, that he says how they're different in the sentence, and he uses antonyms, which can be the opposite of what the unknown word is. I know right now that's just a lot of different examples to you, but we are going to go through some sentences and you will see what I'm talking about. So let's look at those now. What are the meanings of the words in italics in the following sentences? The first one, there was a consensus or unified opinion among the students. Consensus is our unknown word. Unified opinion. That would be our clue. Or, that's your word, or unified opinion. So I'm thinking that would be a synonym or a definition, right? So consensus would mean a unified opinion. Everybody had the same opinion. They were unified. So consensus is unified opinion. And see, when you have a word like or, that's telling you the definition. Next one. Unlike other male-dominated species, Indian elephants live in a matriarchal society. Okay, let's look at the words. Unlike is a key word. Unlike male-dominated species. Unlike male-dominated. So if it's unlike male-dominated, it must be female-dominated. So matriarchal society must mean female head of a family, right? So Indian elephants live in a matriarchal society. Matriarchal means female head of a family. See how the relationship of these words, unlike male-dominated, that tells you. To compel Claire to hand over her wallet, the mugger said he had a gun. Compel, okay, hand over her wallet, and the mugger, so she's being robbed, said he had a gun. Well, a gun's going to make you do pretty much anything he asks you to do. So, what would you say compel meant? Compel would be to make, to force, wouldn't it? To hand over her wallet because he had a gun. So to compel Claire, to make Claire, to force Claire. The next one. Most aquatic sports, swimming, sailing, and surfing, are kind to the environment. Well, here we talked about examples. These are examples of aquatic sports. So aquatic, these all sports have to do with water. So aquatic must have to do with water, because these are examples of the aquatic sports, right? So aquatic must be having to do with water. Okay? The noise in the nursery school was incessant. The crying, yelling, and laughing never stopped. Well, crying, yelling, and laughing, that's the noise, right? Never stopped. So if it never stopped, it was continuing on and on with no interruption. So, incessant must mean continuing on and on with no interruption, right? Do you see how if you see the relationships, it makes it easier? Sam's brother advised him to be wary of strangers he meets on the street. Okay? Keyword is strangers right here, I would think. So if you're wary of strangers, you would be what? Cautious of strangers? You would be just kind of very watchful of strangers. So wary would mean cautious or watchful. You could always substitute it in there. Sam's brother advised him to be cautious of strangers. We keep candles in the house to avert being left in the dark during power failures. Okay, avert, being left in the dark. And candles, you use candles because that prevents you from being in the dark, right? Okay, so if candles prevent you from being in the dark, avert must mean prevent, right? That's exactly right. To avert or avoid or prevent being left in the dark. Just look at those relationships. The apex, or highest point of Mount McKinley in Alaska, is usually covered by clouds. Well, here again, we've got the definition. There's that word or. That tells you that definition is coming. Or highest point. Same thing. Synonym, definition, the apex or highest point of Mount McKinley is usually covered. So apex means highest point. Although egress was permitted, the doors were locked so that no one could enter the building. Egress. Whew, what does that mean? Okay, let's look at this. Doors were locked. And it said, although it was permitted, so that no one could enter the building. So, egress was permitted. And it said, although egress was permitted, but the doors were locked. So, egress must mean that they're permitted to go out. Although they're permitted to exit, the doors were locked, so no one could enter or go out. So, egress must mean exit, right? Right. So this is how you determine context clues. And you have an assignment that you're going to go through and determine the meaning. Just like you use the same strategies that I just modeled for you in determining the meanings of unknown words. And I promise, if you look at the relationship of the other words in the sentence to the unknown word, you will figure it out almost every time. Always go through your procedure. Tear your sentence apart, look at the relationship of the words and what the other words are saying, and you will do well. Thank you. Let me know if you have any questions, and have a great week.